Hello, I'm Thomas Rhodey, Archbishop of Mobile. In a few days, we're going to be celebrating July 4th, the birthday of our country. And allow me, please, to just offer one reflection as we celebrate this happy occasion. Two of our great popes, Pope Benedict XVI, and before him, Pope John Paul II, St. John Paul II, both grew up in countries that had this in common. Pope Benedict grew up in Germany. Pope John Paul II grew up in Poland. Both of their countries had experienced first controlled by the fascist and then controlled by the communist. And these two political systems, as different as they are, shared this in common. Both the fascist and the communist told the people that your dignity, your rights come from the state. The Nazis told the people, your dignity, your rights come from the fact that you are a member of the Third Reich. The communists told the people, your dignity, your rights come from the fact that you are a worker for the state. And Pope John Paul II, as a priest and later a bishop in his native Poland, reminded the people, no, this is a lie. Your dignity, your basic rights come from the fact that you are created by God. You are a son, you are a daughter of God. And Pope Benedict gave that same message. And after fascism passed away and after communism fell, it's very interesting that Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict continued that message, but directed it not to the fascists and the communists, but to the Western secular democracies. Because they warned us of something very important. In our secular societies, as democratic as they are, the more that we don't want to talk about God, the more that we deny the existence of God, or the more we say we don't want God being part of the political process, the greater is the danger that we fall into the same era of totalitarianism. Because if there is no God, then where do our rights come from? Where does our dignity come from? In 2010, Pope Benedict gave a powerful, moving address in England to Parliament. And he gave his address not in the House of Commons, but in Westminster Hall. And no one missed the historic significance of this. The first time that the Pope was making a state visit to England, he addressed Parliament in the very room where St. Thomas More had been sentenced to death in a trial in the 1500s, in 1535, because he would not accept King Henry VIII as being the head of the church in England. He said there's a higher law, St. Thomas More said. And he was executed. And in that very room where St. Thomas More had said there's a higher law and I cannot accept Henry VIII as being the head of the church in England, and he was sentenced to death for that, Pope Benedict stood in that same room and reminded not just the people of England, but the people of all the Western democracies that if we forget God, if we don't want God as part of the political process in our country, then where do our rights come from? Where do our dignity come from? He said this, and I'll quote it. He said, if the moral principles underpinning the democratic process are themselves determined by nothing more solid than social consensus, then the fragility of the process becomes all too evident. Herein lies the real challenge for democracy. See, our founders of this country, of the United States, in our foundational document, the Declaration of Independence, said to the King of England, Your Highness, our dignity, our rights do not come from any monarch or any parliament or any court. They come from God. They wrote in the Declaration of Independence that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They said our rights come from our Creator. So the fact is, our basic dignity, our basic rights do not come to us because we are Americans. We are blessed to live in a country where our dignity, our rights are respected in this democracy, and grateful that there are people who have worked very hard through the generations to uphold those rights and that dignity, often at great sacrifice. But our rights and our dignity come to us because we are sons and daughters of God. And if we ever leave out those three important words, by our Creator, then we are in danger in our country of having lost the very foundation of where dignity and rights come from, God Himself, and fall into the trap that totalitarian regimes have espoused in their era. So as we celebrate July 4th, let us remember, as we give thanks for our wonderful country and the liberties that we enjoy, that our basic dignity comes to us, as the Declaration of Independence says, by our Creator. Happy July 4th to all of you. God bless you, and God bless America.